Hello, and thank you for taking the time to watch this address. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the Rotary Club for making this opportunity available to share with you what we have and will be doing in the city. For those of you who took part in the silent auction, thank you for your support of the Chamber through your bids. To those of you who were chosen as award recipients, congratulations and thank you for what you are doing in our city. And lastly, thank you to the Chamber for the contribution they made to the Haven on behalf of the Mayor's Office. During the past several weeks, we all have faced many challenges due to the coronavirus pandemic. It seemed as if our lives came to almost a complete standstill as we worked our way through each day's new developments. Finally, we're beginning to see things being similar to how it was before the virus, as businesses, services, and restaurants reopen. I encourage you to visit these places, taking the appropriate precautions and social distancing, and help them in their recovery. During these difficult days, our first responders never wavered from their appointed task, answering the call when asked for assistance. Our firefighters, police, doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals are to be commended for their service to our community. With these frontline responders, there have been many others who have been continually working on behalf. Pharmacists, store clerks, grocery workers, delivery persons, and letter carriers, among others. Even though the doors to our city buildings were closed to the public, work continued inside every day to make sure that the city maintained its services to the community. I want to give special shout outs to our city sanitation team who have been collecting our trash to ensure that we have a clean city and that we mitigated the spread of the virus. Our street department has been working on improvements to our street services and sidewalks throughout this time. The water department employees have made sure that our city's water is continually flowing and safe for us to use. All these unsung heroes deserve our appreciation. I encourage you to say thanks the next time you see one of these people out doing their jobs to serve each of us. We are not completely out of this crisis just yet, but through the efforts, we have slowed the spread of the virus. I encourage you to continue the best practice of washing your hands and maintaining social distancing as we go about our daily activities. During this time, your Common Council and Board of Works and Safety have continued to meet, sometimes virtually, to attend to the city's business. I would like to thank our Council and Board of Works members for taking the extraordinary measures they did during the time we were under the restrictions imposed by the Governor's executive orders, eliminating our ability to meet in a face-to-face setting. Happily, I can share with you that the two groups returned to meeting in person on May 26th. Several weeks ago, our City Superintendent Mac Dunn and our Director of Planning and Engineering, Gary Oakes, got their heads together and presented an idea to me. After researching the feasibility of their plan, I am excited to tell you that using non-taxpayer generated funds that are in our budget, we have embarked on a huge undertaking to install and/or repair sidewalks in our community. This will be done very strategically, going to some of the areas that are in most need of the attention, based on foot traffic and/or greatest needs. We have been pouring an average of about 500 linear feet of sidewalks per week. This project began in March and will end in late October. That means that nearly 3 miles of new sidewalks will be poured during the 30 weeks of the project. Most importantly, there will be no cost to the property owners for these walks. No cost whatsoever. The city is covering 100% of these costs by using funds given to us by the state and by using our own employees to do the work. In the upcoming days, we'll be sending forth to the Council a revision to the ordinance that requires property owners who wish to take it upon themselves to have their sidewalks replaced to use city employees and share the cost. We will be requesting that if a property owner so chooses to take the project upon themselves, covering all of the cost, they should be able to select their own contractor to do the work. However, there will be standards that must be met, and before starting their project, they will need to obtain a permit for the work, and the city will inspect the work for compliance of all standards. We believe that by removing the current restrictions on the sidewalk replacement, it will help further enhance and add to the quality of life in our city. In February, our Board of Works and Safety approved the standards that will now require anyone who plans to cut a street, a curb, or right-of-way to secure a permit prior to making the cut. Once the work is completed, they will be required to return the cut area to its original condition. If the repair of the cut does not meet the standards, the contractor will be held accountable until the standards have been met. We are trying to keep our streets level and in the best possible condition, following the work that is being done below their surfaces. A few moments ago, I spoke about our city employees taking pride in their city. One team where we have seen this taking place is with our environmental services team. This team includes those working in our streets, our water lines, our treatment plants, and collecting our trash. Under the leadership of our Director of Sanitation and Environmental Services, Mr. Frank Lane, they are all working together to make this an even greater place to live. Specifically, our street department is going out almost daily, as weather permits, repairing potholes, repairing or replacing damaged street signs, and addressing other needs that we become aware of them. Our sanitation team has collected over 12 million tons of trash in just the first 6 months of this year. Think of it this way. That is enough trash to fill nearly 200 semi-trucks. That's a lot of waste generated by our city, and that does not even include what is taken directly to the transfer station. As stated earlier, they have been on the streets every day working and serving you, our citizens. Scotty Manley and his water treatment team are continually monitoring the quality of our water. Consistently, since 2005, our water has always tested well above the minimum standard to be declared safe. These tests have been conducted by two separate state-certified laboratories. He also does an even more thorough independent testing of our water, and these tests also show our water to be perfectly safe. In fact, just a few days ago, we received the results of the required annual drinking water quality analysis. The report confirmed that our drinking water is safe and meets all federal and state requirements. An independent study released shortly after the annual analysis reported that before going through our filtration system, and this is going before the filtration system, there was 25 parts per billion of contaminants in our water. After going through the filtration system, the number of contaminants were non-detectable. Let me say that again. After going through our filtration system, the number of contaminants were non-detectable. Now we know that the word contamination sounds scary and is a serious situation. However, the water coming into your homes and businesses through our well-maintained filtration system is perfectly safe. Let me emphasize that. Yes, we have issues around our well field, but our water is absolutely perfectly safe. Our water treatment team is also on top of our sewer system, continually doing inspections, cleaning, and immediate repairs. However, we need to institute additional camera work, specialized repairs, and relining our sanitary sewer lines. There are also several manholes in our many areas of the city that need rehabilitation, along with checking of our water supply tanks, doing the necessary maintenance as required to maintain our water storage system. These are all projects that we hope to start in the coming months. Speaking of water, during 2019, the Cole administration made application through the Office of Rural and Community Affairs, also known as OCRA, for a grant to assist in drilling additional needed wells, upgrading the water infrastructure in the downtown area, and assistance in eliminating the plume or vapor contamination, and other needed improvements to assist in maintaining the quality of our water. The city was originally told that even though we qualified, there was little hope receiving the grant. Then, in mid-January of this year, we received word that Martinsville's application was approved and a $700,000 grant had been awarded. We have since accepted that award, and we are busily working on the task required so that we may realize those dollars. I want to thank the former Mayor Cole and her staff for their work in submitting the grant application to the state. Without their efforts, we would not have acquired these much needed dollars. As you may realize, the city recognized that work would need to be done on our wells, infrastructure, and to address the plume issue. Believing that we would not receive the grant that I just spoke about, a water rate increase request was submitted in 2019 to the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. They acted upon that request and approved a rate that would make the increase imposed over the next 3 years, starting in 2021. However, since becoming aware of the grant, the IURC and the Office of Utility Consumer Counselor reviewed the rate increase. On May 13th, the IURC ruled that a total maximum increase of 14.3% could be imposed over the next 3 years. In 2021, the maximum average monthly bill will be $39.80. In 2022, the maximum average bill will be $41.06. And in 2023, the maximum average bill will be $42.80. Again, these are on an average that the IURC looked at. Your rate may be different based on the amount of consumption of the water you use. You may have noticed that we have started using inserts in our water utility bills as a method to communicate important information with you, and will continue to do so in the coming months. Most everyone gets a water utility bill, but not everyone has access to web page or our Facebook page. There is important work going on at our wastewater treatment plant. Dallas Tincher and his team are daily checking the system to assure that the water released from the plant is as pure as it possibly can be. This plant operates 24/7, and if there is an issue at the plant, then things start backing up for all of us. This is another example of our dedicated city employees making sure that we have a great city. Over the past few months, the previously approved rate increases in the sewer wastewater rate that we all experienced went into effect. I would like to share with you the background on the increases. Because minimal increases were not implemented over the past number of years, the need for dollars to address a state mandate that the wastewater treatment plant would need to construct and implement a facility and a process to take out the additional phosphorus from the wastewater. Consequently, the rate increase hit all of us with a significant increase. Through the efforts of our building inspector, Bob Strader, and our code enforcement officer, Isaac Toomey, and their administrative assistant, May Cooper, we are making great strides in bringing homeowners into compliance with the ordinances of our city. Since January 1st, nearly 200 verbal contracts and/or warnings have been issued. When our building inspector and code enforcement officer go out, they are making every attempt to be fair and consistent, following the state city codes, in an attempt to get our neighborhoods cleaned up and be a safe place for people to live. And we are seeing the results all over town. Debris is being removed from porches and yards, bushes are being trimmed, and abandoned vehicles are being towed away. Initiatives have been put in place to deal with the rising homeless problem in the Martinsville area, making those areas clean and safe to our community. The South Street camp of homeless was shut down and cleaned up through teamwork from the city, the police department, and the code enforcement. In this location alone, over 33 tons of debris was removed by the city workers. We will continue to enforce the codes so that we can take pride in the beauty of our community. Additionally, since the start of the year, the building inspector's office has issued nearly 150 permits for renovations and new builds in the city. Some of these permits are directly attributable to the I-69 project. We are experiencing growth throughout our city. The public has come to think of the building inspector's office as their place to go to get answers. Through the dedication of the staff, if they don't readily know the answer, they will try to find the answer and then get back to those who call. It has become the practice of the Inspector and Code Enforcement Office, in conjunction with the Street Department, to notify homeowners of any planned work that may affect their residents. You may come home and find a door tag informing you of what work is planned, such as a cut in the street or a tree needing to be removed by the city. We don't want there to be any surprises. Excuse me. Speaking of buildings, we have a beautiful 103-year-old City Hall. It was last remodeled in 1986, and to be very honest, is getting tired and needs some love, just as many of our owner-occupied structures do. We recently repurposed some of the space that was vacated by the fire department over 10 years ago to create some much-needed office space. We have been able to create a secure area for our city court records, expand the space for our planning and engineering office, provide office space for our city attorney, and provide a secured office for sensitive information being gathered by our police department. But when Mac Dunn and I first toured the offices of the police department, I was shocked and appalled by the conditions and amount of space they are forced to use as they protect our city. All of their work is done in approximately 1,800 square feet. In the months ahead, we will be looking for ways to renovate the entire building to include adding a dedicated wing for the police department so that all of their operations will be under the same roof, giving them much needed space to confer with witnesses, compile reports, and complete investigations, and to do their day-to-day work. Therefore, better to serve you, our citizens. We will also move the clerk treasurer, the building inspector and code enforcement, and the water utility office back to our city hall so that all city offices are in a central location. People should not have to be forced to run all over town to complete their business with the city. Now, no timeline has been set as of yet, but this is something that must be addressed in the coming months. A few minutes ago, I spoke about the working conditions of our police department. But even so, under the leadership of Chief Kurt Spivey and Deputy Chief John Richards, our police officers have worked hard to establish a new culture and a stronger identity as a professional law enforcement agency. It is a department with a strong backbone, made up of skilled law enforcement officers and quality people. The policies and procedures have just been revised and implemented. These are the first step in the process of building a stronger department. There is a push towards patrol-based policing efforts, encouraging officers to be visible in the neighborhoods and in the community. Officers need to be seen in the neighborhoods, and they need to be identifiable as police. Our patrol vehicles are starting to look a little different as more eye-catching departmental markings are being implemented and added to more vehicles. Traditional light bars will be making a return to the top of the Martinsville police vehicles in the future, which will also add to the visibility. 3 new full-time officers have been hired to the force. 2 of the officers were dedicated reserve officers, and the 3rd officer transferred from another agency. With limited transition and training for these, all 3 were making an immediate impact on the department's protection of the community. Reserve positions vacated by our new full-time officers have been filled, and the chief is finishing a reserve process, which should fill another 3 to 4 reserve positions. The drug issue here in Martinsville is going to be approached from 3 different angles. Street patrol. Uniformed and canine patrols have been stepped up in specific locations or at identified problem addresses. 2, investigations and the narcotics detectives. A process was just completed to promote a Martinsville police officer into a narcotics detective position to enhance enforcement capabilities. And the 3rd is the nuisance abatement. We have identified a few places as project areas or problem areas which will receive more attention. These are the areas known to produce more narcotics complaints as well as other criminal issues. Fire Chief Kevin Green and Deputy Chief Aaron Fraker are working with a group of concerned citizens led by Bethany Latham to secure funding to purchase a baby safe haven for Martinsville. This safe haven will be where an infant may be placed when those caring for the child are no longer able to do so. The baby box, as it's referred to, will be constantly monitored, so when a child is placed in it, a notification will be immediately sent to the trained professionals so the child will be given the care it needs, and thus increasing its chances of growing to become a productive citizen of our community. Soon, Chief Green will be announcing how the community may become involved in making the baby safe haven a reality. Earlier this year, Martinsville's first full-time fire marshal was sworn in. In addition to inspections of the structures, he will be involved in life safety and public education, along with fire prevention. Special emphasis will be given to educating our school children on the need for every home to have an emergency escape plan and working smoke detectors. The fire department has detectors available for those who cannot afford to purchase one, and the firefighters will even help with its installation. The final touches are being put onto the fire department's new training center located at our street department facility on Blue Bluff Road. This facility has 4 stories and will allow the fire department to simulate various circumstances they may encounter here in Martinsville, both currently and as we prepare for continued growth. The training facility will be one of the best in the area, and it will be not only used by our firefighters, but available to surrounding departments as well. Because of the pride shown by the members of the department, it is finding that people are wanting to become a member of the department. There are several firefighters that have been with the department for 25 plus years, and some with much fewer years. We are seeing these firefighters wanting to step up and take leadership roles, as was demonstrated when 2 officers were promoted to the ranks of lieutenant and captain and were sworn in with the fire marshal. The department is hoping to build its core of volunteers to supplement the full-time crew. Being actively present with the public is important to the fire department. They are looking forward to having visitors back to their department once the virus is fully mitigated. You know, every day, the courageous men and women of our police and fire departments continue to serve and protect each of us, responding at a moment's notice to unknown situations, placing their lives on the line. Through their community outreach programs and by partnering with organizations like the Martinsville Crime Watch and the just mentioned Baby Safe Haven Project, they are making a difference in our community. As stated earlier, I would like to ask each of you to make it a point to thank and encourage these faithful public servants whenever you see them out in the community. Let them know how much you appreciate what they do for us. A simple thank you is all it takes. We are pleased to tell you that our city is financially sound. Under the leadership of our clerk-treasurer, Becky Toomey, and her first deputy, Ben Merida, and their staff, they are good stewards of our tax dollars. Through their work, they discovered some employee health care programs that increase services while at the same time reduce the cost. These reduced costs, along with the saving from several of my staff that are not taking the city provided health insurance due to the coverage that they already have in place, they have saved over $630,000, and this money is available for other projects within the city. Because of the Common Council's recent approval, the city now has an official human resource department. Through the work of Ben Merida, there is a systematic approach to receive and review applications and interview for positions open with the city. Employees also have an outlet where they may candidly discuss their concerns, knowing that they will be treated fairly, consistently, and confidentially. The HR department has implemented a time clock software that provides for some more accurate tracking of employees' actual hours, thus eliminating possible duplications and other errors that will in turn assure that the employee is paid correctly for the hours they worked. In January, the Common Council approved an agreement with AT&T to replace our out-of-date telephone system. The new system will provide better service to those who call and for better communication between departments. Installation of the equipment was delayed due to the coronavirus, but is now underway and should be completed soon. Rates for the new system, negotiated through the Clerk Treasurer's Office, will save the city upwards of an additional $30,000 per year. Already this year, the staff of the Clerk Treasurer's Office has processed well over $10 million in claims, made sure that each of the city's 95 employees are paid on time, and that each of the city's 70 bank accounts are reconciled. Those are incredible numbers when you realize that these are just 5 people working in the clerk's office to accomplish this. We have a great resource in this community that we sometimes overlook or don't fully appreciate, and that is our youth. We have hundreds of youth involved in various programs and organized sports. For many years, we have had some of the brightest minds in the state compete on various academic teams, bringing home state and national honors. Our children compete in band, orchestra, and choir competitions that also bring the hardware home. We have talented young people demonstrating their skills in theater and art. All of our children's accomplishments need to be celebrated, not just those who are in sports. However, this year, all this changed when the schools were closed for in-person learning in March. Sports and activities were suspended, and traditional senior activities were canceled. Even so, our class of 2020 need to be recognized and congratulated for their achievements. This includes our seniors at Martinsville High School, Tabernacle Christian School, and those who have been homeschooled. The City of Martinsville congratulates the class of 2020. Economic development is also a high priority for this administration. We are actively seeking businesses and apartments that will bring new jobs and residents to Martinsville. Specifically, we are working on the areas that are at the Liberty Church Road and State Road 44 interchanges. Plans for light industrial park in the Liberty Church Road are being studied. Conversations have been taking place with businesses to possibly locate at the State Road 44 interchange. We will continue to seek opportunities to bring businesses to the I-69 corridor and other locations around the city. We are looking to have discussions in the coming days with housing developers to create new neighborhoods with homes that would range from $125,000 to $175,000 to attract first-time home buyers. It is our desire that these new neighborhoods would be in sight range of the interstate, with hope of attracting those who may be considering moving into the area as they make their way down the interstate. We will continue our partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and the Morgan County Economic Development Corporation to do whatever we can to make this a business-friendly, family-friendly community. We want Martinsville to be a place where business want to do business and a place where families call home. Likewise, we will be working with Morgan County to turn Martinsville into a destination city and not a pass-through city. We may no longer have our mineral water sanatoriums that drew hundreds of people here in years gone by, but we do and will have much to offer visitors with our unique shops, specialized boutiques, long-time and new restaurants, festivals, and events. It is time that we take pride in Martinsville and make the rest of the world realize that we all know and love about our community. Who knows, maybe some of those visitors will like so well that they'll want to come back and they want to move here and call this home. Through various connections, we are also working to add new events to our city's calendar. We have the backdrop for all sorts of varied activities. All we must do is just reach the right people to make that happen. We are excited that we will have a 4th of July parade this year. The parade will begin at 10 a.m. The morning of the 4th and travel from John R. Wood Middle School north on Sycamore Street to Washington Street, over to Jefferson Street, then south back to the middle school. The parade is being sponsored by the Indiana Spirit of 45. And if you have not experienced there are taps on the square conducted each Friday night just before 7. I encourage you to do so. In March, we received confirmation that additional funds from the Indiana Department of Transportation have been allocated that will allow us to complete the South Street project the way it should be completed. With these additional funds, we'll be able to have travel lanes from Ohio Street all the way across to the bridge that are 12 feet wide, with curbing in each direction. This funding will also provide for 6-foot sidewalks on both sides of the street. Again, that's from Ohio Street to across the bridge. This is going to be our only chance to do this project the way it should be done, and we are grateful, oh so grateful to INDOT for making these additional funds available. We are also glad to have the bridge over I-69 to the Grand Valley finally open. Just use precautions as you travel over it as we continue to work on the improvements I just mentioned. Additionally, we will also have 12-foot travel lanes in both directions with 6-foot wide sidewalks on both sides of Ohio Street from the south side of the interstate all the way to the new roundabout at the intersection of Ohio and Garfield Streets. Improvements will also be made to Garfield from the roundabout to Main Street, which will be our gateway to the downtown area. The costs for these improvements are part of the expanded project covered by the dollars received from INDOT. According to Gary Oakes, our Director of Planning and Engineering, all the projects are on schedule with a completion date set for sometime in the late 2023. And of course, there is I-69 and the impact it is going to have on our city in the coming months and beyond. For several weeks, work has been underway to help with what we know is going to be increased traffic through our city while State Road 37 is shut down for the conversion to I-69. Inhibitor devices have been installed on our traffic lights to help clear the intersection as emergency vehicles approach, making it safer for motorists and first responders to make their ways through the streets. These devices were installed by INDOT at no cost to the city. Millions of non-city dollars for traditional pipelines and underground infrastructure are being put in all over the city. We know that there is more to come from this. Our fire and police departments have developed their plans on how they will respond to any incident that may occur in the city, especially those that may happen on the east side of the interstate. More than 80 new fire hydrants will be installed to replace broken hydrants or add new hydrants that will be needed because of I-69, and the costs are being covered as part of the INDOT project. Additional frontage roads and connectors are being constructed so that once completed, there will be accessible ways to reach businesses and homes located along the interstate. Through the Okra grant previously discussed, we will be working to upgrade water lines and other infrastructure in a 9-block area of downtown. Work on this project, specifically on Morgan Street, will not begin until after this year's Fall Foliage Festival. It is safe to say that there will be some street closures or restrictions during the construction period. Some activities that normally take place in the downtown area or on some of our streets may need to be modified due to expected increased traffic. Public safety is our #1 concern, and therefore we are asking that if you are planning an event in the downtown area, whether it be a festival, a run, or other event, please contact the mayor's office or go online so we may get an application to you regarding your event plans. I wish I could give you a definitive timeline on the work that is to be done, but we have not received those dates from INDOT. As much as we are trying to forecast possible problems and headaches, there are going to be things happen that we just do not have any control over. Weather, construction challenges, and a host of other unpredictable challenges. We know that these are going to make all of us upset, frustrated, and maybe even downright mad. However, by working together, we will get through these challenges. Believe it or not, there is a light at the end of this tunnel we are entering. Once the work on I-69 is complete, many of these challenges will be forgotten memories. We hope that these challenges will be replaced with the new challenge of more businesses wanting to locate here, new citizens moving to our community, and such. But until then, we must remain focused on the big picture and realize that the short-term inconveniences will be replaced by long-term gains. I ask for your patience as we all face all of this over the next few months. We will get through this. As you know, on Sunday, June the 7th, a group of people exercised their constitutional right to protest the social injustices that have occurred in many cities across the United States and around the world. Sunday's demonstration remained orderly, and there were no reports of damage to any of our downtown buildings or monuments. We are grateful for all those who were on the square on Sunday for showing restraint while the demonstration took place. Over that weekend, I was reminded of a childhood song that has the words, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. I believe that we all need to remember those words. We are all precious. We may have our differences, and we may see things from different perspectives. We may feel that there is a social injustice and a need for change, but we are all precious. To help keep you informed, I would like to encourage you to visit the city's webpage, Facebook page, the Chamber's Facebook page, and Porch Time for information of city activities, updates, and recent media releases. These are all updated regularly. In closing, when I took over the helm of our city, it was not a city that was in a disastrous state like so many cities in our country are in. But little did any of us know how our city and world would change in just 6 months. We had an extremely smooth transition. Martinsville is financially stable and in a position to grow in businesses, in population, and in greatness. Then the virus hit, affecting each of our lives. As we begin our recovery, I pledge that it will be my mission to build upon the strong foundation that we have in our city. Our native son, John R. Wooden, is quoted as saying, "Do not permit what you cannot do to interfere with what you can do." I and my staff will do everything we can to not let the things we cannot do interfere with what we can do to make Martinsville the absolute best it can be. As I seek the wisdom of my team, I also ask and seek your prayers and continued support for the work we are doing. Don't forget, we still have a way to go in our dealing with the COVID-19. So wash your hands, social distance, and continue to stay safe. And may God bless this great country, our wonderful state, and the city of Martinsville. Thank you.